Hello and welcome back to the channel. I've got you propped up in my guest chair. I'm cozy on my couch so that we can connect as friends while we talk about a tough topic, finances. My husband and I have worked really hard to get out of debt. We're so lucky that we did not have school debt coming into our marriage. But a few years ago, we were overseas when COVID hit and we had to evacuate to the United States on a repatriation flight. We landed in the US having given away everything but $20 in our pocket and started from scratch. We had the debt of the evacuation and then ultimately the cost of moving states as we got a new job, and we have built our life from the ground up. I know so many people start with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt because of school loans. So I'm not saying that we started as low as some people. We've had a great step up in life. And I want to first say that I am grateful for that. If you want to get out of debt and attack those savings goals, it's going to take work. It's not going to happen by accident. You're not going to get fit without going into a gym. You're not going to have a healthy body without putting nutrients into it. And it's the same with your bank account. It's not going to read the numbers you want it to unless you deposit it. My first tip would be get a simple piece of paper or a note app on your phone and write down all of your fixed expenses: rent, utility, bills. Think about your car payments, car insurance. Do you have any subscriptions? And then once you get that all written out, estimate groceries for now, estimate household expenses based on what you know you've been buying, and then tally up that fixed expense. Look at the black and white numbers. Is there anything you can cut out? Do you really need Amazon Prime? Do you really need Disney Plus? Could you go with a cheaper car insurance option? Be ruthless. Cut down the extra spending. From there, what you're going to do is take the three things I would say are variable. Gas. Could you drive less? Could you walk more? Could you do local activities? Doesn't have to be forever and it doesn't have to be all the time. But can you restrict on that? We were a one-car family for years in order to have either no car payment or a low car payment. And when we did buy our second vehicle, praise God, it was all in cash. Groceries. There's so many budget recipes on YouTube. You can find a whole week for an X amount of dollars. You can find budget challenges, extreme budget challenges, emergency food budgets. You don't have to go extreme, but it would be helpful if at the beginning you cut it back and then in time, as you reached your goals, increased it slightly. Plus, that tight beginning will make you better at cooking and buying on a budget. What I like to do is shop only once a week if I can help it, and I have a fixed menu for that week. I buy only what I need for those meals, plus extras for lunch and breakfast. And I go to my cart and I look at my subtotal, and I take out any extras in the cart until my subtotal reaches my budget. This has worked great. When it was just my husband and I and our 1-year-old, our budget was about $80 a week. And then as we had our second son, we increased it. He wasn't eating at the time, but I knew I would need a little bit of help buying a few pre-made items when I had a newborn and wasn't sleeping well at night. And then we kept it at that limit while he grew and started eating. And then that meant I cut back on those pre-made items in order to stay within that budget, but yet buy more food. And then now we have increased it to include a little bit more protein, a little bit more nutrients. And my 5-year-old eats as much as my husband and I. So how much food we are consuming as a family has increased. Also, we never throw out food. Are you throwing out leftovers? Is food going down your garbage disposal or into your trash can? When we lived overseas, you took out your trash every single day and set it by your flat room door, and the housekeeping took it out every morning. And they would judge you if there was food thrown away in that bag when there didn't need to be. So there was that social pressure of eating everything you had cooked, but then also the financial reality that throwing away food is wasteful. Is there food going bad in your fridge? I personally am against a heavily stocked pantry or fridge. I keep it as bare as possible, and by grocery day, you can tell it's grocery day. It's easy to clean the fridge because there's nothing in it, and it's easy to clean out my one cupboard that I use as my pantry because there's nothing in it. Why buy extra just to have it expire? The last category you can save on is household expenses. When we were on a tight budget, I never bought tinfoil, plastic wrap, paper towels, for example, and we did cloth diapers. For cleaning rags, I used microfiber cloths or old clothing, even to mop with. And by the way, for cleaning, I often will buy $1 bottle of hydrogen peroxide and use it for everything. I do have a bottle of a Clorox mildew removal that I keep down in the basement up high on a shelf away from my children. And I'll use that every once in a while in the bathroom, on the shower, to make sure that it's fully clean. But hydrogen peroxide cleans really well. And even during COVID, when everyone was buying Clorox wipes, hydrogen peroxide kills COVID, and it's $1. It was always in stock. So it was a budget-friendly way to keep our family safe. Now my kids are in preschool and kindergarten, and I don't want extra germs coming home. So I'm constantly spraying surfaces with hydrogen peroxide and then wiping it down with a damp microfiber cloth once it's sat for a minute. Hydrogen peroxide also is a great teeth whitener and a good stain remover. So we use it all of the time. Those 3 line items in your budget, you have control on how much you spend. And with all the frugal resources and hacks on YouTube, you can really cut those down. I have a recipe on my YouTube for homemade laundry detergent. I spent the same price as 1 box of Tide, which is what I used to use, but this 1 box is going to last me 6 months to a year. I absolutely love it. I'm so glad I took the 10 minutes it took to mix that up. Do you remember in middle school when we did those finance projects and we would say, if you make this much money, how much money will you have in a year? And then there was always that aha moment from the teacher when they'd say, but did you pay your bills? But did you pay for this? But did you account for the fact that you'll need to buy shoes or toothpaste, etc.? And so then we realized, wait, if I'm making $100 a week, I'm not going to have $5,200 by the end of the year in 52 weeks. I'm going to have significantly less. There are 2 ways to increase how much you're saving, and that is increase your income or decrease your spending. So treat this like one of those middle school projects and cut back on the extras. It's going to be hard. You're going to have to break habits, and denying yourself that bit of oxytocin is harder than you think. But it's a muscle, and as with anything else, the more reps you do, the easier it will become. Also, with more income, if you're trying to pull side gigs, you're having less time. Less free time to rest, to pursue hobbies, to have family time, and that quality time is often worth more. So I would rather live lower than my income in order to save than have my husband work an extra job in the evening because I really value our time together. The first goal is always pay off debt. Have a tiny bit, couple $1,000s in savings, but then immediately start paying off debt. There's tons of resources online. I like the snowball method and paying the smaller things off first, but there is truth to the fact that you should attack what has the highest interest rate first. But those little wins and paying off the small bits really does help keep you accountable and keep you motivated. And then from there, save for emergencies. They say for a single person, you need 3 months of expenses, and then for a family, you need 6 months of expenses. Personally, we did just higher than that. In the case of a medical emergency, because we have seen that health insurance does not always cover everything. And then attack your savings goals. This order is important. A lot of people will start to save before they've paid off debt. That is not the way to do it, because the interest that these banks will charge you on debt is higher than the interest they will give you in a savings account. Their goal is to make money off of us. So let's not give them that chance. Pay off your debt and then attack your savings goals. For example, one of our savings goals is saving for a home, but I would also say eventually saving for travel and those types of experiences. All right, I'm back. I had to go get my 3-year-old out of the bath, but that's what friends are for, right? You don't mind waiting and me restarting. Now from here, you're gonna make a plan as a couple if you're married and agree on it, because it's really important that you're both of the same mind. You may have different styles and different techniques, but so long as you're on the same page, this will go so much more smoothly. The first firm rule is no spending money on a credit card, Klarna, those pay in installments, because studies have shown that when you do that, you will spend more money, even if they're not charging interest. Because it's tricking you into feeling secure in spending more money than you have or than you should be. And that is not the mindset we want. This is a muscle. We are exercising it and we are gonna grow, baby. My second tip, I'm so sorry, is no eating out or very little eating out. In the course of, let's say, a 30-day month, you're eating 3 meals a day. That's 90 meals. We like to eat out twice during a low buy month or a no spend month. So that is 97% of our meals at home and 3% of them outside. We usually eat out on a budget. Have you seen the 3 for me at Chili's? It's $10.99 for a burger, fries, chips or a salad, and a drink. And then to add on dessert is just a couple dollars. We do that for my husband and my kids split a meal, plus leaving a 15 to 20% tip. We are able to eat out for around $37, rarely more than $40. So if we do that for one of our 2 meals, then the other one, maybe we could go somewhere a little bit fancier. For example, we really enjoy the Thai place in town. These tips are so easy to stick to when we change our mindset from comfort and ease to our goals. Have your why and hold on to it. Prioritize family time. Prioritize quality time. Prioritize that slow and simple life, because that's the way that this will become habit and last far longer than your savings journey. Change your mindset. You are not here to keep up with anybody. You are not here to climb the social or the corporate ladder. You are worthy just the way you are, and these memories with your loved ones are what matters most. So choose those memories instead of these empty sources of joy. Play cards with your loved ones. I have a whole video on minimalist activities that are very budget friendly. I'll link it below if you're interested and need some of that free oxytocin. Get out in nature. Nature is free. What are you doing inside? Okay, you're talking to me right now, but as soon as we get off this call, you got to skedaddle and get outdoors. It rejuvenates the mind, makes you feel like you've had a rest, and is far more refreshing than a Starbucks cup of coffee. Don't waste your money. You worked hard for it. All right, another hard rule is no new clothes ever. We very rarely buy new clothes. My tank top is new from Walmart technically, but I did get it on sale, and so it wasn't much more than my thrift store. I use it as a nice dress-up top with jeans and Chelsea boots, but then I also wore it to work out today. The black version of this is so versatile. Most everything we have comes from the thrift store. A few hand-me-downs for our boys. The only thing we buy new for them are jeans, because they bust through the knees on their jeans like nobody's business, even the new ones. So I'm not going to waste my money on used jeans that some other boy has worn out the knees of. During a budget challenge, we are not going to buy clothes. It's just not worth it, and you can find creative ways to use what you have. And also, have you ever thought of minimalism? Truly, I enjoy minimalism because of the peace of mind it gives me and the way it keeps my priorities focused on helping my neighbor and uplifting my fellow man versus making my life more comfortable or full of items. Maslow's hierarchy of needs teaches us that the bottom tier is meeting our needs. To reach the peak of self-actualization, we need to move on and stop buying junk to meet our needs. Once they're met, move on. Once you have a wardrobe full of clothes, move on. Once you have a car that you can drive, move on. Don't hold yourself back by staying in that bottom of the triangle. Your self-worth is far more important. When you need something, go to the thrift store. It's much more environmentally friendly. Textile waste is astronomical. It is not good for the environment. So minimalism, though good financially, is also so important for the world around us. If you need more motivation, I've got lots of content that could encourage you. Have you ever heard the saying, use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without? These old adages have some truth to them. And I like to go through that list and make sure I've done all of those things before I let myself give in to an impulse. If you're online late at night, the chances of you buying something you don't need are much higher. Consider just adding it to a save for later list or a wish list. That way you don't give into it when you're at your weakest and tired. Also, adding it to that list does still feel like, okay, I'll get this eventually. If you even remember it in a few months, then you can think about it. But oftentimes I find that I've long forgotten about what's on that list. I was shocked when I did our budget and realized how much paying off our car has helped increase our savings. Live on one car if you can, pay it off as soon as you can. Why are we giving banks all of our money in this interest when we could do better? When we were sharing one car, I had a double stroller for the kids, and we would walk to the library. I would take a drink from home, and it was amazing. We got sunshine, I got exercise, I got oxytocin from the exercise. My kids got to play with the toys at the library and their friends, and then we'd come home with a few books. It completely transformed our day and cost us nothing, not even gas. Focus on experiences. Honestly, I'm really tired of buying gifts for my family, gifts for my friends. I don't like being a part of a gift exchange where you swap lists of all the stuff you want. It just feels like someone's reaching into my pocket to buy what they need instead of giving them something that says, I love you and I thought of you, and so I bought this so that you would feel loved. That's how I enjoy gift giving. No matter what, I want my family to feel loved. But one of the things we do is wait to exchange gifts till we visit back home versus mailing them, because I want to see the joy on my nephews' faces and my sister's faces. And then we keep gifts for our family quite simple. It's never more than 3 or 4 gifts a person, and some of it's even just food and special snacks. That way we're not bringing in extra clutter, but we are getting to treat ourselves. One year for my husband, I gave him a whole kit of different flavors to season your popcorn, and he absolutely loves it and still uses it, at least once a week. And it was just his stocking stuffer that year. Another stocking stuffer I've done for him was baklava from Walmart. They stock it during Christmas time. And that was such a treat to have on the table. We enjoy baklava. We've traveled overseas. I'll never forget eating Turkish delights and Turkish coffee in Turkey. So getting that small sense of the world in our little home on Christmas Day was very special, but only cost us a few dollars. Let your family know you love them. Let them know you care, but it doesn't have to be store-bought. Simple homemade gifts or treats can really communicate how much you love them. Also, Facebook Marketplace, there's constantly things for free, there's constantly things for cheap, and that was a huge hack for us when we were restocking our home after moving to the United States. All right, folks, leave your advice in the comments. Help encourage others along in their journey and cheer them along. Let me know, how much do you have to pay off and what are your savings goals? Let's start a conversation in the comments so we can encourage one another. You are welcome back in my home anytime. Have a great day. Bye-bye.